graphs when you are solving, the x, comma, y. If it is positive x, you move to the right, and negative, you move to the left from the origin. Positive y, you go up, negative y, you go down. So I had some people like, oh, this is down 5. No, this is not. Negative 5, 3 means go over 5 and up 3. So this should be O. So 3 should have been the letter O up here. Okay. So in number 5, you already have something that cancels. And so if I'm looking at number 5, as I look at number 5, I add those together and I get negative 6y adds to equals 6. And when I divide both sides by negative 6, I get y equals negative 1. Keeping in mind, this is y of negative 1. Then you have to go back and replace. So I'm not sure if the question is on the replacing part or not. I want to look at 10 and 12 right now. So on your paper, hopefully you have number 10 written down. Number 10, the first one, I'm going to write it exactly as it was. 7x minus 1y equals 12. Now, only thing I did is added a 1 in there, right? The second equation, I have to get the number 8 all by itself back here because it's not lined up right. So what do I have to do to get the 8 by itself? How do I get rid of 7x if I'm looking at that vendor? What would I need to do? I'm going to subtract 7x. So when I subtract 7x, I now have negative 7x, and if you haven't done this one, write it down. Negative 7x minus 3y. So we get to add because my x's will cancel here. One's positive 7, one's negative. Key thing to use elimination, you always want the number to be the same, and today we're going to look at where we have to multiply and the sign to be opposite. Both 7's, one negative. This gives me negative 4y. This gives me 20. I'm going to divide on both sides by negative 4. Positive divided by negative y equals negative 5. So if you didn't have this one, you should make sure you write down 10 so you have it. We've got the first part of the solution. Carson, I need help. Which equation in number 10 do you want to go back to find that x? The first or the second? Because we got to go back to our original. The second one, the negative 3y? You went to the first. So in the first equation was 7x minus y equals 12. Carson, tell me what you substituted in.
I did 7x plus 5.
Because this is a negative 5. So is he correct if it's minus a negative 5 and putting plus 5? Yeah, you could definitely put a plus 5. Okay? Equals 12. Someone said, can I leave it as minus a negative? Well, minus a negative is a plus, right? So now, how do I get rid of plus 5, Brad? I'm going to subtract 5, right? So I subtract 5 on both sides. Mathematics, when I do that, I get 7x is equal to 12 minus 5. 7. Divide by both sides by 7. Now, we can't have any fractions on this whole worksheet, right? Because when I look at the solutions, so here my x was equal to 1 and y is negative 5. So when x is 1, going over 1, down negative 5. Should have been t. I'm going to start number 12, but I'm not going to finish it because if you didn't finish it, I do want you on your notebook paper to do that. And if you have today the page 32, I'd take that, and I'd take 34 if you had that done, right? But you can turn in page 34 through the end of the period, that sheet of notebook paper, okay? So if I am looking at number 12, right? Number 12, I need the, notice this one, I have to get the 12 probably by itself. So when I write number 12, I might have written the original equation. Okay? So I write the original equation in 12, which was 4x plus 12 equals negative 7y. And now I'm going to write a new equation. The second one was negative y plus 12 equals 4x. And I agree number 12 is a little harder. When you are looking at that, I want the 12 here by itself. Here I also want the 12 by itself. So instead of putting the number last, we're going to put the number first. So if I am taking a look at that, Josh, how do I get this 12 by itself when I have it plus 4x? What do I have to think of doing to get rid of that plus 4x?
Minus 4x.
Minus 4x. So I'm going to have a minus 4x over here. So I'm going to put my minus 4x. Then if I'm looking at that, I'm going to have minus 7y, right? Because I have minus 4x. Okay. On this side, if I want the 12 by itself, I already have a positive 4x on this side. How do I get rid of this minus y, Jonathan? I'm going to add y, right? So I'm going to add a y here. That gives me 0. I'm going to add a y back here. I cannot add that to the 4x. So plus y. And if you want to put a 1. And now when you add these, look how beautiful that is. The x's are going to cancel, right? One's negative, one's positive. Okay? So as you are taking 19 that we are looking at, so if everyone's on page 18, as we look at page 18, our standard again, solving it algebraically, being able to look at no solution, false equation, and infinitely many when we have a true equation. So if I look at this problem, it says, should we add or subtract to eliminate a variable? And usually people go, oh yeah, the m's are going to eliminate. But if I add m plus m, I end up with 2m, kind of like M&M's, right? But just 2m. I cannot add these as they are, so I have to think of multiplying one equation by negative 1. It really doesn't matter if you multiply the first or the second one. To me, the first one seems a little easier. So please write multiply negative 1. Now, when you multiply by negative 1, what that really means is you're changing everything to the opposite. Negative 1a, negative 1m, negative 101. Do the addition. 2.5 minus 1 is 1.5a. Negative m, Amy, you right with me? Plus positive m, that's 0m. We're not even going to put a 0, we're just going to leave that blank. Carter, you writing with me? Negative 101 plus 164, or 164 minus 101 leaves me with 63. Please take your calculators if you need to and divide 63 by 1.5. I get a is equal to 42. Now, if I look at the two original ones, which one seems easier to solve for m? The first or the second, as we look at it? What would you say, Isabel? First or second seems easier. The first one is all positives. There's just ones. I don't have to multiply and divide. So I'm going to write that first equation, but instead of a, can I put in 42? Instead of a plus m equals 101. And someone said, well, couldn't I just on my calculator take 101 and minus 42? For sure. That's exactly what you're doing, right? So 101 minus 42, my value for m is going to be equal to 59. And I'm done with the problem. I have my two solutions, right? All I did was take 101, I replaced it. Now, when you have two variables and they're not x and y, usually we keep them in alphabetic order as you are looking at those. So when you look at these problems, you're going to usually keep them in alphabetic. Take a look at the next problem going down. As you look at that next one going down in your notes, it asks you to solve. And it says, step 1, can I add or subtract right away? Do I have the same number in front of x or y and opposite sides? No. So if I was going to add these together, the x's or the y's don't cancel out. So I need to rewrite one of the equations by multiplying because I need the variable in front, or the number in front of the variable, to be the same. Now, I look at these two equations, and if a number that 2 and 7 both go into is 14. But I'd have to multiply both equations.
Whereas if I look at the y's, what's a number that 5 and 15 both go into? 15. What do I have to do? What I need you to write down on your paper is that you are going to take that first equation and leave it exactly as it is. So you're going to rewrite it. But right behind that second one, put multiply by 3. And sometimes I'll have students do this. I'll have them put this whole thing in a parenthesis and put the 3 either in front or behind it, right? I have to take every single thing times 3. Do I have to do that in the first equation? No, copy the first equation. Exactly. Negative 2x. Start writing, Carter. Plus 15y equals negative 32. Second equation, 21x. Negative 15y equals 51. Keep everything lined up. Line up your equal sign. Line up your x's. Line up your y's as we are looking at it. Okay? So if I am looking at that, I want to start adding, as you've written yours down, negative 2 and 21, which gives us 19x, right? If I add negative 15y and positive 15y, I'm going to end up with 0. Negative 32 plus 51, and we're going to end up with 19. Sound about right? Yeah. Okay. At 19x equals 19. How nice is that, right? It's going to come out to be a pretty nice number. It's not 19. When you take 19 and divide it by 19, you should get x equals 1. Do I have to see that you've written divide by 19 on both sides? Some of you really need to write that down. Others of you can go from this step right to x equals 1. But now I have to choose, and it says now we got to find the second variable. So the biggest mistake, I had a couple people turn in their papers, is that they only gave me this, and then they said, there's your answer, Mrs. Thompson, they were done. So first thing we want to take a look at is we are going to write that second equation. Would it matter if you did the first one? No. So please write down 7x minus 5y equals 17. So we're going to write it exactly as it's written at first, and now we're going to substitute. So if I'm looking at substituting, Kira, instead of x, we're going to put, what was x equal to? 1. Right? So tell me what to write. 7 times 1. Yeah. So I now have, if I'm multiplying that, right, we are actually looking at that that's going to be 7. How do I get rid of the 7 on that side if I am looking at that ID? We're going to subtract 7, right? Now, I just want you to notice that they kind of skipped a few steps here. So I know most of you are probably not skipping these steps. You would have maybe subtracted 7 and said negative 5y equals 10, right? And then you would have divided by negative 5 to say y equals negative 2. Some of you are able to maybe show a little less work, but my guess is maybe if you get to this step, you could skip the division by 5. And again, we want to leave our answer, and our answer is that ordered pair of 1, negative 2. And I'm looking at it, and it's the test next week, and I'm thinking, crap, I don't think I did it right. I have 20 minutes of class sitting here. I want to make sure before I hand it in that it is right. So Ben, since we use the second equation, we need to check it with the first equation. So could you tell me what I should write down for our first equation?
2 plus 1
times 1, okay.
plus 15y equals 32.
And if I'm looking at that, I might, because I know my x and my y is negative 2, instead of 15, to do the check, I'm going to the first equation, and I can put in negative 2, and the question is, does it equal negative 32? So, Cameron,
Negative 2 times 1 gives us negative 2. 15 times negative 2 gives us, Cameron, negative 30. So negative 2 plus negative 30, that checks. Amy, you with me? Yeah, feeling okay? Okay? So we got to keep looking at this. Please don't do that. Okay? So making sure that we can check it as we are looking at those. So we have 2 more. The first one, nice and easy. Can you add it together right away? Please do so. Please start adding as we are looking at that one. What's going to cancel? The y's, because we got a positive and negative 6, right? But this one, not so easy. We got to do some multiplying here. If I am adding those together, Jordan, start me out.
You'll have 9x, and then the y's cross out.
The y's
27.
equals 27. Looking kind of nice. Mark, we divide by 9, and x is equal to 3. We get x equals 3. Ready? We got to decide which equation we want to use. First or second?
The first.
The first. So I'm going to write 6 times what?
6 times
3. Keep going.
Plus 6 equals 3.
So I have 18. Tyler, what are you going to do? Subtracting 18 on this one. I have 6y equals 15 minus 18 is negative 3. I go to divide. Is the answer 2? Negative 2? No. What is negative 3 divided by 6? Negative 1/2, negative 0.5. So the biggest mistake, I don't know why, people either in their brains, whatever, they just don't like to have a fraction. So instead they'll put negative 2 for this answer. Like, oh, it's 6 divided, it's not 6 divided by 3. You're putting 3 in your calculator first, divided by 6, negative 1/2, negative 0.5, okay, as you are taking a look at that one. We are going to look at this last question, and then we're going to get you to work on that homework. So first thing we want to look for is there a variable that has the same number in front? And we have 4 and negative 4 and negative 2 and 5 and 10. Which one do we want to eliminate? Because it really doesn't matter in this one. Because we're going to have to multiply both equations. So Kaizen, you get to choose for us. Do you want to eliminate the x's or do you want to eliminate the y's? The x's. So if we're going to eliminate the x's, that means I need the number in front of x to be something that both negative 2 and negative 4 go into. So what do I have? I want to go smaller. I don't want to multiply both if I don't have to. I am only going to multiply the first equation by what number? By 2, right? Because if I take negative 2 times, right? So please out in front of this, put a negative 2. Why do I have to multiply by negative 2 and not positive 2? If I'm thinking about that problem, what do you think, Jared? Because if I multiply by positive 2, I get the same thing, negative 4. So I'm going to rewrite this one right down here. Negative 2 times negative 2, Jared, leaves me with 4x. I'm going to keep going, Morgan. I'm going to take negative 2 times 5y. 10y. I'm going to take negative 2 Autumn times 7. Negative 20. Not 28. Negative 14. Is that what you said? Yes, you were right on. Negative 14. Can I now add these two together? So I have this one, and I have this one. What's going to happen when I add my x's? They cancel. 0x. What happens when I add the y's? 0y. They cancel. 0x plus 0y is 0. 24 minus 14? 10. So don't do it. Don't go there. 0 equals 10. False, right? So we are going to say no solution, right? So this is how you get the no solution when you add them together, is that they add together, and when you add them, you get the x's and the y's cancel, and the numbers are not the same.
Now, sometimes you're gonna see tonight in your homework that you're gonna add these together, and you're gonna get like 10 equals 10. 10 equals 10, then you have infinitely many, okay? So, if you see in your notes right now, you see this question. And it asks you to solve, and I'm gonna give you the question to write down. It asks you to solve with substitution, okay? So here's the question that you are going to do. I want you to do this right now in your notes. It's just gonna be kind of a, hey, let's check and see how you're doing this, okay? So if you have a question on this, let me know if I can help you. And take this quiz right now. Write down the problem where it says take this quiz. You're gonna write down this problem. Bless you.